I wake up groaning, both from the alarm of my phone under my pillow and the slight pain on my abdomen from a rather harsh push into the kitchen counter last night by my father. The thought makes me drag myself up, turning the alarm off as I see it isn't past 5 in the morning yet. It's the first day of my senior year in high school, which means if I don't leave before my parents wake up I'll get more than yelled at. I force myself to the bathroom in my room to get a quick shower, praying to whoever is listening that Mr. and Mrs. Devil don't wake up from the water running. As I'm washing, I notice a newly formed bruise on my abdomen, which is why it's hurting more than it probably would've. Last night, I had another argument with my father, meaning he screamed how disgusting I am for being transgender and that he used his fist and the table to help prove his point. My mother didn't stop him, mainly because she isn't so happy to have a son when she wanted a daughter in the first place. Also, she's very against homosexual people and believes since I'm a boy now that I'll end up in a gay relationship. Of course, I will. I'm attracted to men. I just wish she'll learn that there's nothing bad or wrong about gay people and that I can't help if my sexuality doesn't change just because my physical gender did. When I came out as trans, during my 7th grade year, I was already starting on my testosterone shots because I had been saving up from small jobs during the summers and had been seeing my doctor who suggested I start. He did need my parents' permission though, which was fixed with a little forging on my part. I didn't exactly tell my parents. They had noticed a few small changes during the next months after I started. My father had set me down in the living room with my mother and asked what was happening to his baby girl. After I explained everything, hell opened up in my home. My father broke anything, he throws things. He was screaming at the top of his lungs of how I was a disgrace and that he hated me. My mother just stared at me. She looked to be in shock, and the more she stared, the faster she broke down crying, sobbing that her daughter is dead and that it's her fault for never changing my ways of doing a boy stuff, instead of playing with dolls or dressing up in dresses and such. Both stopped speaking to me for months, but when they did, they misgendered me and used my birth name. It hurt more than the silence. But now, they're both taking out their anger on me. Now that I've changed and look more manly after 6 years on testosterone, they hurt me physically and mentally. I had lost friends too. I thought they'd stick with me because they had for years, but when I came out to them, they distanced themselves and stopped speaking to me. That's when I found out that none were real friends. If they left that quick I didn't need them, especially when they started bullying me. Sighing from memories, I step out of the shower and quickly dry off, smiling to myself when I see my chest in the mirror and a bundle of happiness shoots through my body. I had undergone top surgery this summer. I had saved up enough money from both my jobs as a waiter at a fancy high-paying restaurant and a cashier at Wendy's. I couldn't be happier that I can look at myself and be so overjoyed that I don't have to continue to hate myself for what I see in the mirror. I hated my breast. I always pictured what I'd look like without them, and now I'm seeing it. I'm so happy. Walking back into my room, I go straight to my dresser to get my boxer briefs and jeans. My black jeans are ripped up from me being bored, so when I pull them on after my briefs, quite a lot of my legs are showing. I then pull on a black hoodie over my torso. My body had shaped out over the years, and now I pass more easily as a man since I'm lean and have muscle. Not a lot of it, but enough to keep me fit and healthy. I wouldn't win a fight though. When I'm dressed and my shoes are on, I got back to the bathroom to brush my teeth and silver whitish hair. I make sure my septum piercing, upper lip and vertical labret piercing are changed to black rings and a stud. I also remember to take my testosterone shot in my thigh. Wouldn't want to forget that. Only then do I grab my phone and bag to run out of my room, quietly but quickly passing my parents' room to the stairs. When I'm sure I'm in the clear, I book it to the front door and run outside, seeing the sun just rising above the other houses. I don't waste much time looking at it before going to my car. It's a little old, but it does what I need it. Besides, I don't have any means to worry about it. Not when I need to get my shots or save for another surgery I desperately want. Being in school isn't much different than being at home. The only difference is that the number of people that bully me, you'd think after 6 years of the same insults and beatings they'd get tired and accept I'm different. But no, that isn't the case. They get entertainment from bullying me, and no matter how much I wish to change that I simply can't. I've accepted that they can't accept me. At my locker I'm well aware of the comments about me. It's what I expected when I got top surgery. Me coming in with pecs instead of a slightly noticeable binder on my chest. People are guessing what I did, some actually using their brains and saying I got surgery, others being stupid and saying I took a knife to myself to cut the breasts off. I roll my eyes at those people. They're so immature. But then again, I shouldn't be very surprised because most of those people are popular guys, meaning they don't have much of a brain in the first place. I flinch when a hand suddenly lands loudly on the locker next to mine with a bang. I know who it is and I haven't missed him one bit during the summer. Turning around, I'm met with a tall basketball player with bright blue eyes and short black hair, his flat lips in a smirk and his lean muscled body in blue jeans and his jersey. I would say he's attractive, but he's not. His face isn't crafted well, his cheeks are puffy and his eyes droop. His ears are huge, which I would think is cute, but it looks odd on him. His lips are chapped and painfully flat and his hair has flakes in it. His name is Joseph. He and his little posse of idiots bully me exclusively. They not only verbally abuse me but also beat me until I can barely stand. Hey, Hunter, where's your tits at? His voice is oddly high-pitched. You'd assume he'd had a deep voice, but no, it's like puberty, missed that part. He always uses my boy name, not my birth name, which I'm grateful for because I had recently legally changed my name. Though he had always done that. I know it's because he has no problems with me being transgender. No, his sister is too, but she's male to female. No, Joseph has a problem with me being gay, that's his reason. But right now, I know he's asking about my surgery because when his sister got her surgery, he saw how happy she was. He just wants to give me a small amount of happiness. He's weird that he bullies me but he also lets me be proud and happy about being a boy. I got surgery to have them removed. So, they're probably on your sister. I answer him, watching him smirk before he shoves me against the lockers and walks away. I appreciate him not doing anything else, though I know later today when he's with Dumb and Dumber, Eric and Devin, that I'll end up leaving early or paying the nurse a visit. Not because of what I said, but because he has a reputation to uphold. If he didn't beat me at least once, people would question him. I close my locker before I make my way down the hall to my first class, ignoring the wasn't he a girl. If he was a real guy, I'd fuck him. Ew. Look, it's the wannabe fag boy. I've learned to let each comment bounce off me. I'm a real boy, no matter what these ignorant and immature children say. During lunch, I sit by myself. I have no friends to talk to and no one wants to sit with me. I don't mind. I find people annoying. It's been a surprisingly uneventful day. No one really bothered me, besides some of the usual comments here and there. I'm actually shocked. I would think people had finally learned to move on and leave me be, but I know better. It's the first day and people are tired or reuniting with friends too much to care about me. Although, maybe I thought too soon because when I look up I see Joseph walking my way with Eric and Devin on his sides. Eric is tall like Joseph, but he has blonde hair and deep brown eyes. He is actually attractive with a sharp jaw, well-sculpted cheekbones and features. He's well-muscled and is also on the basketball team. He happens to be dating the head cheerleader, which is exactly why the cheerleading team picks on me sometimes. Devin is shorter than them with dyed brown hair when he's also born blonde. His eyes are also blue like Joseph's, but a lighter shade. He has muscles, but he only works his arms so his top is buffer than his legs. He's more on the chubby side, which makes him bigger than the other two's lean bodies. As soon as Eric gets to me, he swings his fist directly into face, causing me to lose my balance and fall from my seat with a groan. I hadn't been expecting one straight off. He usually speaks beforehand. It isn't long until I'm being kicked in my ribs by Devin a few times. He only gets some in before he's pulled back and Joseph grabs me by the long part of my hair, dragging me up. He throws me to Eric, who immediately holds me by my arms while both Joseph and Devin place punches on my torso and face. None of them say anything, which is slightly surprising. I don't fight against them. If I did it'd only cause more trouble for me. I can't have that because I work after school. I simply groan, whimper, and let painful noises escape me as they continue their attack, and Eric holds my arms so tight I feel bruises form. I groan as I stand up from the small bed in the nurse's office. I had been here for probably 2 periods, letting her clean the blood from my lip and face while holding an ice pack to the bruises to my temple. The nurse had said I'll be okay, but I should go home and rest. Not happening. I need to go to work. When I walk out, the halls are empty. Everyone is in class, so I can easily grab my stuff from my locker and quickly find the doors of the school. It's sad I think today wasn't so bad. Working in a fancy restaurant has its pros, like getting paid well, but it also has its cons, like the snobby rich people I have to serve and the uniforms. I look like an idiot with a bow tie and my hair gelled back against my head. The black vest is ridiculous and the black slacks are uncomfortable, especially with a sock in my pants to make a bulge. I've tried using the strap-on I have, but it only makes the pants more uncomfortable. I'm forced to have my sock. Lucky for me, I don't have a lot to do besides take orders and take people to their tables. Although it's not much, dealing with a proper to men and women, I have to undergo comments about my piercings or stretched ears. I don't bother removing them or anything. My boss had made me a deal that as long as I'm polite and do my job I can keep them in. He did lecture me about the bruises on my face and the cut lip I have though. I had explained I had a small run-in with a crazy man that seemed to be on drugs. he bought it rather quickly. You'd think with the number of bruises I get he'd fire me for being so clumsy and unlucky enough to get in fights or whatever lie I throw at him. Currently, I'm just standing at a counter where the drinks are, waiting on a table full of rich bastards I can serve. I'm eavesdropping on a couple that is apparently cheating on their spouses and are planning to run away to Hawaii. I don't understand how running away is easier than just asking for a divorce with the people they're cheating on. Hunter, table 12. A waitress named Lexi grabs my attention, smiling sweetly at me as she passes me to another table. Turning to the table she said, I see 3 people sitting in the booth, 2 men and 1 woman. The woman is in a short red dress that hugs her body tightly and her face is caked in makeup even if she's in her mid-40s or 50s. The man directly next to her is in an expensive black suit and looks very serious and cold. The last man is the youngest of them, probably their son, who is actually pretty attractive. He has a well-structured face, his lips have snake bites in them, his ears have white stretchers in them. He looks tall and strong and I can see some tattoos on his hands. Surprisingly, he's not in a suit. Instead, he wears ripped black jeans and a black tight shirt with a leather jacket over it, boots on his feet, and he sits laid back and relaxed with his arms on the top of the booth and his knees spread like he doesn't give a single fuck. I say tall in the most extreme way, seeing as his knees connect to the bottom of the table and his arms look really long. It's like he's 6 feet 6 inches or close to it. He's not lanky like some guys are, but he has long limbs and is very muscular and fit, like a football player mixed with a basketball player. It's impressive. He'd crush me with a single arm if he wanted. Hell, he could kill me with a small push. I blink and shake my head, scolding myself for staring instead of doing my job as I walk to the table. I do my best to smile politely to customers, ask how they are at how their food is as I go past them, trying to hide that I couldn't care less about them. I hate these people. They're snobby and act like they're better than everyone when in reality they're just as imperfect as the rest of us. They parade their money around in the form of expensive clothes or cars. Some even use cash to pay hundreds of dollars for their meals then never leave a tip. Upon getting within feet of the table, the attractive boy's eyes turn to me, allowing me to be shocked when I see one eye is a deep brown and the other is a beautiful blue. I never saw someone with 2 different eye colors. Maybe they're contacts? Either way, I like it. It makes him unique and different. When I'm next to the booth, the woman immediately speaks without looking up at me, the usual, Tiffany. I blink and raise an eyebrow. I thought Tiffany quit working here? Either way, that was rude and it irritates me. She could have at least had the respect to look at me when she's talking to me. I hate when people do that. The boy smirks as if he's amused at my reaction. I imagine he is, a male waiter being called a female. If only he knew. If only he knew what I go through every day. His mother is no match for my parents and I'm aware of that. The shit I deal with is ridiculous enough, but I also have to come here and deal with people like this. That is the most sadness though ever. It's like no matter where I go, I'm always just entertainment for people in a higher social status, like I'm unwanted, and unless I'm not a waitress, Mrs. and Tiffany no longer work here. I correct her, getting out of my head and forcing her head to raise to look at me. I notice her eyes stay trained on my piercings and ears before she scans my body. She looks severely dissatisfied and displeased, which only irritates me more. Her own son has piercings. She can't whine about mine. She doesn't have the right. I will not be served by a punk with those things in your face. Go get someone else. I nearly roll my eyes as she waves her hand dismissively with a disgusted expression. I don't take this at heart. I've been called worst and see that expression every day. It's something I have gotten used to, seeing the revulsion in my parents' eyes and face, feeling it every time one of them punch or kick me, hearing it in their tone when they yell malicious and very cruel words at me. I know not to take what this woman says to heart. I know better than to listen to people who don't know a single thing about me. There is no one else. Mrs. They're all busy. Also, I'm allowed to wear my piercings and they have never bothered anyone else. You're the first to complain. I tell her with a small sigh, trying to speak with as much kindness as possible even if it's hard. I can feel the sun's eyes on me. They haven't moved since I got here. It makes me anxious to have this much attention on me when I'm not getting beat. Usually when people stare it's because they want to cause me harm, or when they are already tormenting me. It makes me nervous. He's much bigger than me and he could cause more damage than Joseph and his buddies. It's intimidating. In fact, I'm so uncomfortable, I shift an inch backward as if I'll run for the hills. Seeing this, the boy's smirk widens and he leans on the table. The abrupt movement of him makes me flinch, expecting to be hit or kicked in my stomach. His smirk falters slightly as his right eyebrow lifts in question, obviously noticing I flinched away from him. The woman huffs, gaining my attention back. Fine, you'll have to do. After she says this, she continues to order what she wants, being very specific as to what to put and what not to put in her food, making sure to threaten to have me fired if I put tomatoes in her salad. I write everything down, trying to keep up with what she says, and have to have another second or two to finish writing when she closes her mouth. I sigh quietly. For such a small woman, she sure knows how to command someone around. Damn rich people. I look to the older man who merely orders a bloody steak and a glass of wine. Thank God he isn't like his wife. I wonder how he deals with her. She seems very dramatic. And you, sir? I ask the son, turning to him, seeing his smirk carved on his face again, his eyes staring intensely at me. You. At first, I didn't catch what his deep voice had said and simply nod and go to write it down. Then my brain catches up and I pause. Did he? No, can't be, not me. I look around me, not seeing any female waitresses or guys around me. I find it astonishing this stranger hit on me. In a good way, I hope. I'm definitely not used to that. Excuse me, what? I ask again, my eyebrows furrowing as I feel my face heat up. No one has ever hit on me that way before, if ever. I'm stunned he even thought of it. Guys usually avoid me because I'm either gay or they don't feel comfortable with me being transgender. I've come to the conclusion that I'll find someone who loves me for me, and not if I'm trans or gay after high school. I'm willing to wait. I wouldn't want an immature prankster to play a joke on me for popularity. That's plain cruel. I said I would like you. Why don't you have a seat? The son's deep voice has amusement in it as he watches my face redden when he pats his lap, his smirk growing. His father is chuckling and his mother looks about ready to burst in anger as she hisses at him to shut up and order. I can't believe what's happening, and my embarrassment is only increasing the longer he stares at me like he's undressing me. That look alone causes so much anxiety in me, because the thought of sex scares me, especially when I haven't had that kind of surgery yet. I want to wait until I get it to have sex. I hate the thought of having a vagina when I get that intimate with someone. Some people have sex when they don't have the surgery, and that's perfectly fine, but for me, I just can't. I'd loathe the whole experience. Is there anything else you'd want? Something, in reality, like on the menu. Instantly his smirk disappears and his eyes harden. He's probably not accustomed to being told no, or anything close to it. I doubt anyone has told him no. He's attractive, intimidating, and loaded. Who in their right mind would reject him? Me. He simply shakes his head, continuing to stare at me like I'm crazy to say that to him. I probably am. He and his family seem very wealthy. He could possibly have me fired or even pay someone to kill me for a simple sentence. I nod quickly before turning and walking away, being intimidated by his unique eyes on me, and I'm not strong enough or confident enough to deal with such an intense stare. So instead of dealing with it, I go straight to the kitchen where I give the chef the small paper filled with the orders, watching him curse when he reads it. I stay in the kitchen where I'm safe from that boy and his fucking eyes, opting to just watch the cook scramble to get the food ready while being screamed at by the head chef. I guess these people really are very wealthy. I haven't ever seen them or anything. I just assumed by their clothes. I can't help but think it's possible for the son to attend my school, though I'd think they'd put him in a private school. It wouldn't be very odd if he did go to my school. A lot of the popular students are wealthy, living in big houses and have expensive cars or clothes. Most of their money is from having a doctor's parent or maybe a lawyer as a mother. Myself, I'm not wealthy. My parents own a small flower shop. My mother loves flowers and my father just wanted to make her happy. That doesn't bring in much money, and we're poor to my classmates, but actually, we're just middle class. I pay my shots and surgeries from years of saving. This job helps by paying well hourly, and my other job just adds to whatever I earn here. I do help pay bills when we can't, or help my mother pay for groceries when she lets me come along to the store. But I hope that boy doesn't attend my school. If he does, there's a good chance he'll track me down in class or something and teach me a lesson for speaking to him like that. I couldn't help it. I was shocked, and I can't control what comes from my mouth at times. That's probably another reason I'm bullied. If he does, at least I'd be beaten by someone more attractive than most of, even all the guys, at school. That'd be a promotion. I blink when I'm handed the tray of food. Next thing I know, I'm being pushed from the kitchen, being lectured about watching my mouth and being polite by the chef. I guess this family had threatened everyone's jobs. How wealthy are they? I balance the tray on my right hand, weaving through people expertly as I walk. I've done this so many times over the years that I learned the perfect technique to balancing a tray filled with food. Just be hyper aware of where you're going and who's in your way. As I walk back to the table, I feel and see the son's eyes on me again, making it hard to concentrate. He stares at me like I'm the prey and he's the predator, which if we were animals, he would be. Hell, he is now. He's bigger and stronger. I'd run if he came at me with the intention of harming me. Again, something that will happen eventually. I make it to the table without dropping anything, no matter how impossible it was not to with his attention and me for so long. I manage to avoid eye contact, which seemed to help even the slightest. Here you go, enjoy. I politely say like I'm required to do as I place the parents' food in front of them. Noticing that husband nods thanks, the wife just huffs again. Talk about snobby, she's the worst person I've served in my 2 years of working here. I'm glad I won't get them when they return, I'll have another person sew it. I can't deal with the son and his mother at the same time. I turn to leave, but a hand catches my wrist making me flinch then freeze as my body tenses and I look at whoever has rudely grabbed me. Seriously, these people are the most disrespectful people I've met. Besides my own parents, of course. I see an enormous hand wrapped completely around my wrist, tattoos on it that disappear under the sleeve of a leather jacket that belongs to a certain unique-eyed boy. Do I know you? His voice is impossibly deeper and filled with curiosity, a tone I'd never expect him to have or show. I simply blink at him. I haven't met him before, I'd recall his eyes. But it's reasonable, if he goes to my school that he saw Joseph beating me, I wouldn't doubt that happening because when he does people usually crowd around and watch. Today they were too busy catching up with friends and such to notice much. No, I don't think so. I don't know you. Sorry, I answer him, taking my wrist back from his grip and continuing to another table to get in with my life and job. I'll probably never see him again, unless he surprises me tomorrow with a beating. When I get home from work at the fancy restaurant, I see both my parents in the living room, holding hands while watching TV. Whenever I witness this, I constantly think that maybe there's a chance of coming back from everything and will be normal again like the old days before I came out. I know that won't happen. I'm reminded of it when my mother glares at me from the couch, a revolted look on her expression that shouldn't hurt as much as it does. I'm used to that, it shouldn't hurt. But seeing the same look on the woman at the restaurant must have made me forget what the real thing looks like. My mother used to be gentle and loving, she cared for me and did everything a great mother would. She assured me, like both did, that they'd love me no matter what happened, that I'd still be her child and she'd support me in everything I do. I quickly learned that I can't trust the promises people tell me. I learned when someone promises what they did that it'd be broken as easily as it was made. They don't support or love me. I'm not their child as far as they're concerned. I'm just the person that destroyed their lives and killed their only daughter. I didn't mean for them to hate me. I thought everything would be fine when I come out. I thought they'd accept me and we'd be the same happy family as before. I was never so wrong in my life. It helped me build walls around myself. If I can't let someone in, I won't get hurt again. I won't hear the broken promises they would make. I won't have to fear of making them hate me for being myself. I won't get hurt by the one I'm supposed to love and trust. Coming out was both a blessing and a curse. On one end it felt great to say who I am and come from the darkness of the shadow I lived in as a girl, but also it caused the falling of my family and made me have trust issues. I guess being bullied fits into that also, but I would have been bullied anyways even if my family accepted me. It's just how the world is. Get out of my sight, Paige. You fucking disappointment. We should have disowned you. You're nothing but a reminder of how you stole our daughter away from us. My little girl is not a fucking man. My mother uses my birth name, the name she chose immediately after seeing the pink blanket at the hospital. The name stings worse than the rest of what she said. I had always felt wrong being called that. I remember I had told my friends to call me P for short or Bruce because Batman was my favorite superhero and I wanted to be like him. No one questioned me since I was little and they thought it was cute. I'm not Paige anymore and will never be. I'm Hunter, a teenage boy in high school that likes skateboarding and listening to music while I go for a run or walk in the mornings or evenings. This boy also finds men attractive and gets a little flustered when embarrassed or put on the spot. He thinks about what he would do if he was ever Batman or Spider-Man. Sometimes he thinks how awesome it'd be if Batman and Spider-Man had mixed powers. Batman having the web shooters and Spider-Man had all the Bat's weapons. They'd be the best team ever. I am Hunter, I am me. I'll have to be proud of myself for being me if no else will. I'll do so proudly. I run to my room before anything can get out of hand, planning to shower the day off, that name, and the hurtful words that came from my mother's lips. Walking into school is painful. I was woken before my alarm by my father yelling at me and pulling me from my bed to kick my ribs as much as he could. He got a few good blows to my head, which is why there's bandage tape over a cut and some pretty bad bruises on my left cheek. I wear a hoodie to hide it, matching it with some sweatpants and deciding for it to be Lazy Day Tuesday. My arm is cradling my ribs as I walk to my first class, keeping my head down even if I know it's no use. People know it's me. I think he had actually broken a rib. My left side is lightly swollen and whenever I move I whimper from the pain spreading throughout my body. I'll have to check with the nursing later at lunch. I can't be late for my classes. I can't focus on anything that teachers say. My rib is increasing in pain, blocking out anything from getting in as I focus purely on the pain. I know that may not be smart, but I can't help it. It SS like I'm being stabbed and the knife is twisting. I had sat through 3 full classes with it. Surprisingly enough, I hadn't had to draw with anyone yet. But I did overhear some girls speaking of a really hot dude that apparently never shows up to school. The only thing I pay attention to is something about a boy. Smart. I didn't hear much of the conversation before the pain overwhelmed me again, forcing whimpers in and trying not to bring attention to myself. Sadly, Eric found me on my way to lunch. I had seen him walking my direction, and knowing him, it wasn't for anything good. I did what I thought would save me. I ran. Which brings me to now, running through the halls, practically crying in pain as I hear Eric's loud steps behind me, his voice yelling at me. The halls are basically empty from everyone being at lunch. No one is here to save me, not that they would anyway. Come on, girly. I just want to talk. Eric yells at me, only making a sting at my heart as he misgenders me. I force myself to push my legs harder, trying to ignore the pain in my torso that only gets worse, ignoring the tears that slide down from my eyes from it. My legs hurt and my breathing is heavy. I'm panting and it doesn't help my ribs, just adds to the pain like my lung is being pierced. When I go to turn a corner, I hit something hard as a rock that sends me down to the floor with a loud painful whimper and small scream as I feel the pain spread everywhere. Looking up, I'm met with the same eyes as yesterday, one brown one blue, belonging to the sun that now stands like a fucking giant over me. He's definitely bigger than me and his muscles are on full display thanks to the tight black short sleeve shirt he's wearing. He stares at me emotionless, except his lips are in a small smirk when he recognizes me, but it quickly disappears when he sees what state I'm in, crying with the cuts and bruises on me and cradling my ribs. He makes a move to step closer, but I crawl away from him, fearing what will happen as I'm now currently trapped by 2 big guys, one that's out for blood. I can hear Eric coming to stop behind me and his laugh as he sees what happened. This makes me tense and look back at him like a deer in headlights. I have nowhere to run and my body is nearly limp on the floor, unable to handle so much pain for so long. Finally, the little bitch can run. Thanks, Alex. Wanna have some fun? She's pretty easy to handle. Eric's voice has clear amusement and enjoyment in it as he steps closer to me. I feel more tears coming from the misgendering terms he used, more of frustration than of hurt from the words. I am not a girl. I whimper, holding my ribs as I crawl back away from him. Eric scoffs, grabbing my arm and dragging me back to him, ignoring my small scream. Do you have a dick? Huh? Do you have a dick or a pussy? Last I checked, pussies aren't guys. Eric kicks the back of my spine, allowing a whole new pain spread through me as I scream and clutch my ribs, falling to the floor all the way with a pathetic whimper. He laughs, enjoying this. What are you doing? The deep voice surprises me. I had thought he left. Huh? Oh, just teaching this thing a lesson. Joseph is too soft with it. Eric casually answers, making me wonder where Joseph is. He wouldn't let Eric say these things to me. But then again, I've been wrong about things before. I feel someone kneel next to me, forcing my body to flinch away with a whimper, not wanting to open my eyes that had somehow closed. You did enough. Leave. The boy, Alex I'm assuming, calmly orders, but his tone is demanding and stern. I hear Eric stutter something before taking off running, giving me a moment of relief. My body goes limp against the floor and I groan from the increasing pain I feel. I don't believe what just happened. This dude stood up for me, kinda. But he could also just want me to release his anger on me from yesterday. I tense again at the thought. I'd surely die then. I attempt to slide away from him, whimpering ever so slightly as I do, but full on the jump when his huge hand appears on my shoulder. Relax, I won't hurt you. I'm taking you to the nurse. I cry out when he picks me up rather gently, holding me like a bride. I can't help but feel suspicious of him. I've heard that line before, right before they take me outside to beat me half to death. Although, his heartbeat is rather calming like he's breathing, and I feel strangely safe in his long big arms that act as a warm teddy bear. When I wake up, I'm met with a bright light and a white room. The bed I'm on is uncomfortable and I hear beeping. Hospital, what am I doing in the hospital? I ask myself that until I remember everything. I groan I can't be here. If my parents find out I'll be killed. God forgive if the doctors called the police on suspicion of child abuse from the number of bruises or cuts I have. Looking down I see I'm in a white gown, white blankets over me and I have IVs in me. My eyes scan over the bruises on my pale arms, old scars on my wrists to my elbows. I was never proud of self-harming, but it seemed to help when everything first started, the abuse. Hearing a door open, I immediately hide my arms under the blanket, shifting my eyes up to see the large boy coming from the bathroom in the room. I blink in shock. What is he doing here? Is he here for me? Is this a shared room? I look around the room but only see that this is a private room with the door closed like the curtains. The couch has a leather jacket on it with my clothes and shoes. The TV is playing Supernatural, giving me a good view of Dean. You're awake. Good. I jump at his voice, gulping nervously as I shift, unsure of what to do. I don't think I've introduced myself. I'm Alex. We met at the restaurant. What's your name, cutie? Alex stands at my side of the bed, looking down at me softly, smiling just a little when he sees me blush. Hunter, why am I in the hospital? I ask, biting my lip as I think of what will happen when my parents get here. You had a broken rib. The nurse called an ambulance. You've been asleep most of the day. I nod, not sure what to say. Did that boy do this to you? Break your rib? I gulp at the question, before shaking my head slowly. I don't want Eric in trouble with anyone, and my father would kill me if I told anyone he hurt me. Alex lifts his eyebrow. I fell. I'm really clumsy. Tripped down some stairs. He rolls his eyes, obviously not believing the lie that usually works on people, though he doesn't call me out for it. Instead, he nods and sits down in the chair next to the bed. It's odd because he doesn't really fit in it from being too tall. I don't know how to feel with him here. I fear he'll suddenly turn on me and be like everyone else in my life, that he'll beat me. It's very unusual for someone to sit with, especially in the hospital. He seems to have stayed for hours and doesn't look like he plans to leave anytime soon. It puts me on edge. I want to know what's going on in his head. I want to know if he's a danger to me because currently, he is. I want to know when he'll start hurting me. Why are you here? I force the question out, feeling my throat tighten in fear of him being offended and slapping or something. I avoid his eyes, staring at my hands under the blanket. I wanted to be here when you woke up and I thought I'd explain what happened to your parents when they get here, Alex answers, watching me tense at the mentioning of my parents. My breathing pauses in fear. If they assume I told anyone what they do, they'd beat me far worse than usual. Hell, they'd kill me. I want to keep my life. It may not be the best, but things could change. I want to be around when that happens. My parents are coming here? Now. They can't know. I don't mean to sound as panicked as I do, but it comes out as rushed and fearful as I shake my head, quickly getting a small headache. It makes Alex sit up and to lean on his spread knees, staring at me intensely, questioning to himself what's wrong with me to hide this from my own parents. His eyes flick to the bruises on my arms and face like he's adding a math problem together. It worries me. What will he do if he figured it out? Probably nothing. Who'd want to help me? I'm shocked he even took me to the nurse. The doctors haven't called them yet. I can tell them not to call if you want. Is there something wrong? I hesitate for a split second, something he notices and makes him eyes narrow as if he's upset, that causes me to feel threatened by him. Did I do something wrong? I shake my head no as his answer, mumbling a thank you for telling the doctors not to call my family, though my voice is quiet. Alex is quiet for a second, just staring at me, but eventually stands to his full height that towers over me even in the bed. I watch as he goes to the door silently, opening it and poking half his body out to speak to someone, telling them not to call my parents. This turns into a small argument, the doctor saying they're required to call the family, but Alex is quick to shut the person down. I told you not to call them. I don't care if it's required. Don't fucking do it. His tone is stern, demanding and threatening, and his eyes glare harshly. I imagine that doctor flinched because I did. That's just me, but someone of his size speaking that way to someone would cause a tiny bit of fear. He smirks as he closes the door, turning back into the room and returning to the seat, his eyes never leaving me as he does. Your parents aren't coming, so it's just you and me now. He has something like satisfaction in his voice as he says this, his smirk widening as he sees my eyes widen after I blink in confusion. What? Alex chuckles, clearly very amused with how I reacted to him staying here with me. He's not only putting more edge on me, but he's also scaring the life out of me. We're in a hospital, meaning there are numbers of ways he could stick a nibble in me or drug me, possibly murder me. Do I actually think he'll kill me? Maybe. Point is, he is big, he is scary, he is wealthy, and I wouldn't doubt for a second he has beat someone to a pulp with those huge fucking hands before. Because let's face it, nearly all big scary and rich teenagers beat the smaller guys. Not saying all do, just 99.9%. Besides, what makes him think I want him here? Sure, he's attractive and looks rather cuddly for having so many hard muscles, and his multicolored eyes are very beautiful and unique, but that doesn't mean shit. What matters is that he has some sort of plan involving me. Why in the world would he want to stay with me? He doesn't know me, we aren't friends. I served his family at the restaurant, that's it. If I knew doing so would cause me such stress, I would have made someone else do it. WY. You can leave, you probably have better things to do. I force words from my mouth in an attempt to get him to leave. Maybe he'll remember he has a life and leaves mine. But he only chuckles again, a deep sound that I admit is pleasing to the ear, but it also causes another shiver of unsettlement to go down my spine. This man is very unpredictable. I don't know him, but the way Eric reacted to his order earlier says I should be afraid. No one has ever scared Eric like that, let alone to run away like a dog with his tail between his legs. I'm staying. I have nowhere important to be, anyways. Well, there was that one thing. His voice trails a little as he leans back in the chair without a care in the world, his eyes never once leaving me for even a second. I get my hopes up that he'll actually leave to do whatever he has to, but he's quick to shut it down when he notices what I'm trying to do. The realization causes a cocky smirk to appear on his lips again. That can wait though. Or I could have one of the butlers do it. But I assure you, Hunter, that I'll stay right here until you're released in a few days. You're stuck with me, you should be happy, not many are lucky as you. Everything he says gets lost in my head as I hear in a few days. I can't stay here for days. Granted, my parents wouldn't care if I never returned, but I have money in my room and it wouldn't be the first time they stole from me, not to mention my testosterone. Knowing my father, if I don't return he'll get rid of it, flush it, or sell it, even just break the glass and leave it in a puddle in my room. I can't stay here knowing he can potentially ruin my shots. I need it. Then again, that's exactly why he'll ruin it. My body moves without a second thought, throwing the white blanket off my lap and quickly pulling the IVs out, ignoring any small sting of pain as I do. Hey, Hunter, don't. Alex immediately stands, attempting to force me back down as I sit up, whimpering at the stinging pain I feel in my torso. I ignore both though, swinging my legs off the bed only to be face to abs with Alex, who now stands in front of me, huge hands on either of my shoulders as he holds me still effortlessly while I push him as hard as I can. He doesn't budge, not even an inch, he only grunts as if he's annoyed. As I struggle against, I yell for him to let me go and that I need to leave and can't stay here for so long, while in the process I'm whimpering and withering in pain from my bandaged wrapped torso. I'm obviously not fully healed, but I couldn't care less. I need to leave. Hunter, lay back down, now. Alex's voice is the same tone he used with Dr. and Eric, making me flinch then whine at the small pain I felt. No, let me go. I need to leave. He'll ruin it. I can't stay here. I yell, pushing him harder and with all my strength, only getting another small grunt as he stays glued to the floor. I hear the door open to the room then voices, but I can't focus. I just want to leave to save my shots. I don't have enough to pay for another until next month and I'm almost out of the small bottle I have. I'm pleading with Alex to release me and to my pleasant surprise, he does. He steps back, but before I can do anything I'm grabbed again. Only this time it's my endocrinologist, Kevin, holding me softly. I would wonder what he's doing here, but he's my emergency contact. He's the only good father figure I have and I owe my happiness to him. I love him like my family. He helps me through anything if I come to him or he notices something when speaking to me on the phone or in appointments. Kevin is shorter than Alex by a few good inches. He's probably to Alex's shoulders and that's saying something because the man is 6 feet 4 inches and Alex is still a giant to him. He has deep green eyes and his hair is dyed half bright pink and half bright purple. His hairstyle is much like mine, but he has a mini mohawk where the long part is. He has a lip piercing, a lonely side piercing and a nose piercing. His ears are pierced beyond belief and he has a metal rod at the top of his left ear. He's lean and doesn't have muscle on Alex's level, but he's fit and healthy. He never liked having big muscles. He does have tattoos on his arms though, and his neck, so they make him look tougher than he actually is. Hunter, calm down. You're okay, honey. Just lay back down and tell me what's wrong. His voice is soft and patient, much different than Alex's had been. I shake my head though. I don't need to lay down. I need to leave. I tell him that, but I only earn myself to be trapped in his arms as he hugs me, gently moving closer to the bed so he lay me back me down, not releasing me despite my pleads. I would struggle more, but the pain is noticeable in my ribs. Once I'm laid down, he sighs and sits down next to my thighs, smiling at me calmly and softly. I notice Alex had moved back to his seat, watching silently with his cold expression like he had in school when I ran into him. Hunty, what's wrong? What has you so worked up? Kevin asks, forcing my attention back to him. He's looking at me with concern. They want me to stay here for days. I can't do that. I know he'll ruin it. He always tries when I'm a little late. Kev, I need it. You know I do, but I can't stay here when I know he'll sell it or something. I may or may not sound like a child whining, but I can't bring myself to care. Kevin stares at me. He knows what I'm talking about, of course. He knows of my struggles with my parents. He's tried to call the police, but I always stop him. Alex, on the other hand, seems genuinely confused and interested as I catch him leaning up a little, continuing to watch silently. Kevin sighs, I'll go over and get it, I promise. But you need to stay put. Let yourself heal. I can't promise if I won't kill the bastard or not though. One of the nurses that came in to reconnect the IVs to me give him a look. One of the looks that screams suspicion of other crimes, because anyone with piercings and tattoos is criminals, right? Please note the sarcasm. I just laugh, though is painful, and I end up coughing a little. Don't do anything you'd regret. Besides, you couldn't hurt a fly. He smirks at me. Oh, honey, you don't know how much I'd love to show that good for nothing, rainbow-hating, coward of a man motherfucker what it feels like. I'd gut him then feed him to the wolves. And regret none of it. I blink at him, not surprised he'd refer to my father like that. He always has creative ways of naming him. But he knows he can't do anything. We went through this before. Yeah. But please don't do anything. He may be an asshole, but I still care for him, as I do with her. He scoffs but nods, leaving the conversation there because he hates my mother just as much. Instead, he looks over to Alex, his green eyes taking in the giant, flinching ever so slightly when they make eye contact. But he smiles at the boy, only earning a blank emotionless expression. Alex seems completely annoyed by Kevin's presences, but also interested in what our relationship is or what we're talking about. He doesn't show it, but he's leaning a little further up, which says he's curious. So, who's the giant? Kevin asked, looking at me with a small smirk. I can already hear his thoughts. Hunty got a boyfriend. OMG. I simply shake my head at him, watching his face fall like his shoulders. I and Alex will never happen. He scares me too much. Plus he's very unpredictable. Alex Storm. Who are you? The deep bass of Alex's voice makes Kevin jump, obviously not expecting the giant to speak or have such a deep voice. But his eyes widen and his jaw drops. What? Excuse me, Alex Storm? As in Alex Storm, the son of the richest couple in the state. My own eyes widen. He's the richest in the state? What the hell could he want with me then? I'm a nobody to him, besides a waiter. Alex sighs, clearly more annoyed. Yes. Is that a problem? Yes, it is a problem. No, not necessarily. I'm just shocked Hunty managed to grab your attention. I mean, I'd imagine a lot of people are throwing themselves to their knees for you. Kevin says casually, bring up my newly formed fear. If Alex is so rich, could just want a plaything as in sex, something I can't give him. I fear he'll force himself on me when he gets tired of waiting. I've heard too many stories of rich men doing that. I don't think Alex is a rapist or anything. It's just my paranoid brain speaking. I do, but none of them refuse me immediately. He did. I shrink back into the pillows of the bed in an attempt to disappear when Alex switches his eyes on me, his smirk returning when he sees my red cheeks. I'm not blushing because of what he said. I'm blushing because of what he intends to do, seduce me. I can't sleep with Hun though. It'll never happen. Kevin obviously knows this and clears his throat. You're barking up the wrong tree, Stormy. You won't get him. I smile at Kevin's words, happy he understands me so well, but then I see Alex sit upon his knees, staring intensely at me, which successfully intimidates me enough to look away from his eyes. I get what I want, Hunter. That happens to be you. Besides, why would I let such an adorable boy leave me? 2 months later. It's been a few months since I've been in the hospital. Alex had stayed until I was released, then he insisted. More like forced me to let him give me a ride home in a very expensive-looking car that seems like something out of Fast and the Furious. When I had actually gotten home, I had to make the stubborn giant let me walk to the door by myself and to stop a few houses down so my parents wouldn't see. If they had seen, my mother would have freaked out, mostly about the car and that someone actually wanted me around them. Alex's windows were tinted thankfully. My rib is healed, mostly. I'm pretty sure my father paused the process of healing when he greeted me with a good beating for coming home. He had landed many kicks and punches to my torso, as well as my arms and other limbs, along with my face. School has been very different and I'm starting to be concerned. Joseph hasn't bullied me, either has Eric or Devin. In fact, Eric avoids me entirely and looks away whenever I find him staring at me. No one pushes me around, not that a lot did. Just people would join in on comments and beatings. Now no one does. I'm concerned because what if they're planning something? For all I know, they could be planning on ambushing me on my way back from lunch or class. I wouldn't stand a chance against the whole basketball team that would probably be overjoyed to get to unleash some pent-up anger on me. I haven't necessarily seen Alex since he dropped me off. I've caught a glance of him in the hallway a few times, all of which have been him watching me from afar. I can feel him watching me at lunch while I eat. It's rather unsettling when I'm already on edge from the unusual peacefulness as of recently. Not to mention it's a little embarrassing to know a strong, attractive and intimidating man is watching me when I'm sitting alone, eating cautiously while my eyes scan everyone and anything, hunched slightly over the table. He hasn't spoken to me and I haven't tried, being too paranoid and having a small twinge of fear of him, to even walk up to him. Alex just simply watches me. It doesn't make sense to me when he had said he wanted me at the hospital, but as long as he isn't using me a punching bag, I'm okay with whatever. Currently, I'm going to the locker rooms for the gym. I know I'll be late for class, but the teacher is aware of my situation and lets me off easy. I'm not allowed to go in the boys' locker room according to the school, and I'm not welcome in the girls' room. Whenever I try, the girls either scream and push me out or the boys yell at me and say some nasty stuff. I have some more bruises on my face, a dark purple one on my jaw, and there's a handprint on my throat in yellow and blue. My father decided I'm not good enough for the world anymore and thought he'd kill me himself, Thankfully I managed to knee him in the stomach and get away. As I enter the small hall the locker rooms are at, I see Kylie. She's like me, transgender, male to female. She's a really sweet girl. She doesn't deserve to be bullied like she is. I would gladly take whatever she's getting from these students. We don't talk much because we don't have many classes together, but she has my number and we text when she has a problem she wants to talk about. She's leaning against the wall, a defeated expression on her face and cute pout as she stares at the wall. She's in a pink shirt and some white skinny jeans. Her hair is to her shoulders and matches her brown eyes. Hey, Kylie, what's with the pout, beautiful? I ask, standing next to her as she jumps, her eyes wide as she looks at me, relief flooding them. She smiles. I always make sure to compliment her, knowing what it's like to be insulted and misgendered. Hi, Hunter. They won't let me in again. I don't know why I even try. I mean, I should just stop as you did and save myself the humiliation. She explains, nodding her head towards the girls' room where we hear girls gossiping. You can't give up, girly. I didn't. I just stopped trying to go in with them in there. I'm focused on getting the school to support us anyway. Sooner that happens, the sooner we can go to where we should be. I nudge her shoulder with mine, watching her smile widen at the nickname. The school isn't supportive of us, telling us we can't go into bathrooms or locker rooms. We can't do this or that because our gender isn't the one we were born with. It's like we have no rights in this building. We don't get the freedom of going to our respective rooms to either use to the bathroom or change. It's stupid and needs to be fixed immediately for future trans kids and us now. Really? I wonder if they'll actually listen. I don't think they will though. They seem pretty set on making life even more of a hell for us. I nod. The school isn't budging with the rules for us now. Yeah. I don't think they will either. We apparently need a list of names from supporters. They know no one supports us here. They're just bastards who have no heart. Kylie's smile disappears hearing what the school wants. She knows we wouldn't be able to get people to sign something that does good to us. Before she can say anything about it though, her eyes shift to something behind me, quickly tensing and her brown eyes fill with fear. My first guess is it's one of her bullies, or Joseph coming to get caught up on his missing beatings with his buddies. What is it, baby girl? I ask as I turn, only coming face to chest with a dark shirt that is tight against the body that wears it, muscled arms with tattoos covering them, long legs and black pants with boots. Looking up, I'm met with unique eyes that stare down at me. I honestly pathetically flinch because he's closer than I had expected. Alex glances at Kylie, resulting in her gripping my wrist and lightly pulling. Hunter, Alex's baritone is deeper than I remember but sounds, as scared as this thought makes me, like heaven to my ears. I can only hum as a reply, too focused on how he leans on the wall next to me and crosses his arms which make his muscles move and strain against his shirt. His chest looks very broad and firm, but I can't help but think back to when he carried me and I'm reminded that it's actually very comfortable and cuddly. I quickly catch myself and blink, ignoring that I even noticed that. Why are you out here? Shouldn't you be changing? He asks, not sounding at all curious like he already knows the reason. We're not exactly welcomed or allowed in the locker rooms, is all I say, making sure to say we, because Kylie is with me and I don't want her to feel left out. Alex only nods silently, his eyes flicking back to Kylie for a few seconds before he scans my body slowly. My breathing pauses as he does, unsure if that means he'll attack me or attack me sexually, both of which isn't good. Then he turns his back to us without a word, leaving us watching him as he goes into the girls' locker room, immediately having girls scream either in fear or happiness because most scream his name. I can hear his voice through the door but I can't make words out. What is he doing? This guy gives no fucks, probably because he's a giant and rich. He can pay his way out of anything or beat up anyone in his way. I just can't imagine why he'd walk into the girls' locker room unless he's planning on getting someone to warm his bed tonight. But why do that right now? After a minute or two in silence, listening to Alex's voice pause a few times, he walks back out as if nothing happened in there with his hands in his pockets and his emotionless expression. You'll be late if you stand around, go change. He directs his words at Kylie whose lips part as if she's about to protest against him, but one hard look has her side hugging me and mumbling a see you later, Hunter. I watch as she walks into the girls' locker room, not hearing anything of the usual. No one even looks at the door as it opens. My jaw drops a little because that's the first time no one has said anything. Let her enter. How did you dash? I look up at Alex, only seeing a small smirk as if he enjoys my reaction. I didn't do anything. Come on. Alex suddenly grips my wrist and gently pulls me along with him as he walks from the rooms while I feel fear tickle my spine. I try to glue myself to the floor but I end up sliding to my horror, struggling to get him to release me but he only grips tighter as he effortlessly drags me through hallways. I don't know what he wants and that scares me. He could want to hurt me, he could do anything and that includes knocking me unconscious with a single punch, trying to or not. He doesn't speak as he takes me to this unknown place, only adding to my paranoid self. What if he's the ringleader of the ambush? He could be taking me the place I'll die. Am I over-exaggerating? Maybe, but I'm so used to people beating on me that it's the first thing I think of. He walks at a normal pace, but his legs are so long that I'm stumbling to catch up and nearly faceplant a few times. When he realizes this, he slows down and drags me more carefully. I sigh in relief of that. It's such a helpless feeling at being dragged in the first place, but to be stumbling and falling at the same, it's painfully humiliating. Alex ends up leading me under some stairs by an exit that leads to the parking lot. He situates me into a corner and stands in front of me, successfully trapping me in my doom. He doesn't say anything, just watches me avoid his eyes by staring at a metal rod on the floor, subconsciously wondering why it's here and what it's for. What happened to you? My eyes snap to his in shock, that he even said anything because he seems to like to be quiet and that he even cares what happened to me. Before I can answer he continues, did someone here do that? That Eric dude? My lips are parted and my eyes are wide. He knows Eric? Does he actually care? Why does that matter? Of course, he knows Eric, he's popular, they no doubt hung out a few times. But the could be bad on my part. Eric hurts me. If he knows Eric, what will he do? No, actually no one has hurt me. It's honestly concerning. I press myself into the wall, seeing his eyebrow lift as if he's thinking. Concerning? How's that? Oh, well, I figure if they're stopping they must be planning something. Now I'm more paranoid than usual. I bite my lip, suddenly aware just how weird I sound. Alex stares at me as if I'm an alien, like he doesn't understand something, and it makes me more nervous than I already am. Did I say something wrong? Will he hurt me now? Or does he enjoy playing with his victims? I press myself more into the wall at that thought. I'm probably just his plaything, something to get his sadistic thoughts off with. That's probably why he cares if someone else hurt me and gave me bruises. He doesn't want me marked so he can beat them onto my skin himself. He's gaining my trust so he hurt me as my parents did. He'll probably promise things, he'll say what he thinks I want to hear, and when he thinks I trust him, he'll hurt me and he'll scar me. No one is hurting you here then. So answer my question, who is hitting you? I gulp at how Alex stares me down, his multicolored eyes blank, but they have a certain emotion I can't place. I can't answer him. If I did I'd be in more trouble. I need to think of a good enough lie, which difficult for me to come up with when I'm put on the spot. I usually have time to come up with one. That being said, I simply blurt out the first thing I think of. I fell off my skateboard at the skate park. I curse myself when Alex merely rolls his eyes, obviously not believing me. Most people would, but he seems to know when I'm lying, and that is not a good thing. I basically survive with lying. If I don't and told everyone, my parents would kill me. If Alex knows when I lie, the secret could be out in a matter of minutes. Then when I get home, I'd probably be met with cops and my parents acting all innocent. It'd be me against two outstanding citizens who pay taxes and work at a small flower shop with no crimes on their records and who are extremely nice to everyone. Nothing would happen, except me being beaten by both when the police leave and the door closes. And you just happen to grab your throat so hard you bruise on your way down? Is that what you're telling me? Alex's tone is a bit sarcastic, finding my attempt at lying to him less than funny by the look of his face. I just nod slowly. I'm really clumsy and grab at stuff. I had nothing to grab, so, I grabbed my neck. My eyes stay focused on the metal rod behind his giant frame, missing his small head shake and another eye roll. I hear him sigh. I don't enjoy being lied to, Hunter. Although I won't push you to tell me, you can't keep lying, especially if it involves someone hurting you. I will find out whether by you or not.